So it appears that Enlisted has just leaked a lot of new stuff, and some of these stuff are actually genuinely interesting. For example, we are getting some late World War II stuff, and we're going to get some early Cold War stuff, so that's pretty interesting to do. Of course, this has been made possible for the friends at Discord. If you haven't liked, subscribe, or joined the Discord, highly suggest that you do. And this is one of the biggest leaks I've ever seen in my life from Enlisted. So without further ado, let's just get started. Starting with the World War II stuff, we are going to be getting the Yak Tiger. This is essentially a German tank with 12.8cm cannon that we have Enlisted, so that's great. For the Germans, we also do have the Me-262A1. This is a German jet that is going to be coming to Enlisted, and it has been seen in previous videos in which I talked about the jet. Moving on, we also do have other stuff for the Soviets. It appears that the Soviets are going to be getting the IS-3, which is actually not an ideal. We do have this in the game file, so that is pretty interesting to note. Moving on, we do have some early Cold War stuff, and some of the stuff that we have are including but not limited to the F-4 Phantom, so that means the MiG-21 is going to be coming in. Apparently, we also do have other planes such as the Su-25 that are in the game files, and there's even a footage of them being in action. On the other hand, we have the A-10, which is also one of those things that I would really like to get my hands on, so that's pretty interesting to say. Of course, we also do have a lot of early Cold War / late World War II stuff. One of the late World War II stuff is the 38cm Storm Mortar. This is a German Storm Mortar, a 38cm Storm Mortar to be exact, mounted on a Yak Panther chassis, so that's good. On the other hand, we also do have other interesting stuff, such as for the Soviets, we have the IS-6, which is a pretty interesting addition considering the fact that War Thunder also has this, so that's great for Enlisted to add. And of course, for some late Cold War stuff, and then some experimental stuff, we have the Object 279. This is a Soviet tank that was designed to quite literally stand up to nukes, so that's great. For some late Cold War stuff, we have the T-90A, the T-80UE1, of which the T-80UE1 is in the game files, and of course the T-72AV, of which the T-72AV is for the Syrian Arab Army. This is of course assuming that the Syrians will be represented in their quote-unquote Russian tech tree, so that's great. Of course, we do have some other stuff, including for the Japanese. We're going to be getting the OI. This is a Japanese super heavy tank for the Japanese. This was essentially used in the defense of the homeland, and that's going to be pretty interesting to note for Japan. Of course, we also do have some other stuff for super heavies. For the Germans, we have the Mouse. This is going to be in the game files, and this is actually going to be coming to Enlisted very, very soon. Of course, we also do have something for the French / the Americans. This is the Charge 2C, and this is essentially a French tank early wars, and it was mainly used as a morale booster, so that's pretty interesting to note. And of course, moving on, we have even more experimental stuff. For example, we have the AC-130 for the USA in the Cold War, so that's great. And I've said already that I do think that MiG-21 is going to be coming in. I also do think the T-44 is coming in at this rate, so that's great. And finally, let's move on to some really groundbreaking news. We have, for the Germans, we have the P1000. This is a super heavy for the Germans. This was called the Rat, and I do think it is going to be a little bit biased towards the Germans, considering if this is going to be added in, there's actually nothing that the Germans can actually use to not get killed with this, so that's great. And of course, we also do have even more insane stuff in the Warhammer department. For example, we have the Predator tank, which is great. I do think this is going to be coming in as an event. And of course, we do have the Clan Hunters, to be exact, the Jungle Clan Hunters. These are coming in with wrist blades and plasma cannons, so that's great. Apparently, we do have an anime event, and that is essentially a German Tiger 1 with an anime cover, so that's going to be great. I do think that this is a pretty interesting addition to Enlisted, and I do think this is going to be coming in pretty soon. For those who haven't figured out, this is obviously an April Fool's prank. If you haven't figured out by now, there's something wrong. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. This is, of course, an April Fool's prank. So for those who are gonna be rushing into the thing and saying, wait, there's a Su-25, there's an A-10, guys, it's a prank. Please, someone tell these poor people who haven't watched to the end of the video that this is a prank. For the love of Jesus Christ, this is hilarious. Anyway, some of the stuff that I mentioned earlier were stuff that potentially could be added, such as, well, some stuff. We have not gotten word on any of the more crazier stuff, such as the Yak Tiger or any of the other stuff. Of course, the mouse and the IS-3 are in-game files, but that is just in-game files, and I don't think it's ever going to be deployed. If it does, I'm pretty sure people will be angry. On the other hand, we do also have a lot of stuff actually in-game, such as the T-80UE-1, that was for the Modern Era event, and of course we have the Abrams, so that's great. So, this is of course an April Fool's prank, and please don't unsubscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.